Welcome to Breathing for Runners. In Breathing for Runners, I'm going to show you how to harness your breath and become an unstoppable runner. My goal is to help you unblock your airways so that you can be running with full power within the next week. I gave up running 10 years ago, retaught myself to breathe, retaught myself to run from the ground up. Since then, I've completed my 200-hour yoga teacher training. I'm an Oxygen Advantage instructor, and now I've been pushing this stuff to the limits with my breath and my body, completing the UTA 50 Ultra Trail Australian Ultra Marathon, completing the Tarawera Ultra Marathon 100-kilometer run here in New Zealand. And I'm going to show you the exact breathing techniques in this course that got me to do that with way less effort, way more ease, and almost unstoppable. So let's dive into the course, and I'm going to walk you through what's going on in Breathing for Runners today. Shifting over to my computer. Here we are. We've got everything set up. Here's what we're going to cover. The power of the breath. The power of the breath is one of the most amazing gifts that we have. And as you know, you can go weeks without food, months without water, but really seconds without breath. And so that's why I feel it is one of the most important things that people don't train and super overlooked. Why breath training for runners? Why is this important when we run? What's the ins and outs of it? And are there any benefits, right? We're going to go through the course curriculum. We've got an exciting range of topics that we're going to cover, and throughout that there are some awesome exercises that can get you breathing straight out the bat and really supporting your running and practical, simple tools that you can use in your day-to-day. The goal and the rewards in this program, I want to make it fun because life's all about fun, and I'm going to share with you my vision and how we're going to make that happen. So if you're in for that, I'm up for that, because learning this stuff not only changes our lives, but we should have fun doing it. Important things to remember, as this is a community environment and I'm looking here to give you as much value as possible, I just want to establish the ground rules for everyone being here throughout the course. And I'll share some insights about going beyond running. At the end, we'll cover how to get help and support so that everyone's on the same page and you can get exactly what you need when you need throughout this course. Appreciate any followings on YouTube and Instagram. You can follow there for exclusive content at Skeletal Freedom. It's often where I have my greatest ideas, or you'll find me halfway through an ultra run and something will come to me and I'll put it up. So that's exactly where you'll find the latest stuff and where this is all going. So that gets released on there really regularly. So follow those channels at that handle to get the latest exclusive content. Share the course. Okay, let's start a revolution and change runners' lives together. This is designed to give you a ton of value, to get your breathing up to speed, to make your running better so that you can go injury-free and become unstoppable in your running. These tools should be given to everyone. I don't know why they don't teach it at school. Please share if you find this valuable. Train your team. Free online training for sports teams. If you find this valuable and you're part of a running club, a netball club, an AFL team, American football, you name it, running team, track team, might just be your local running crew, train them. Share these tools with other people. They are safe for the majority of everyone, and they're simple and effective so that everyone can run easier. Warning, this is the most important video in the entire course. Watch the entire video, be present, don't fast forward. Pro tip, you can watch this content on 2x speed to get through it, but just make sure that you just slow down when you see the word exercise on the screen, as we don't want you doing super speed breathing exercises throughout the course. The power of breathing. Let's have a conversation. Let's go fireside and start to have a little chat about where all this began, where this came from, who's involved, what's been happening in this world, because the world's been exploding with information, with techniques, with gurus, you name it, okay? And I'm going to share some insights. Men's health, right? We've started seeing headlines like this. Nasal breathing, could breathing via our noses rather than mouths lead to gains across the board? There's a lot of science starting to back this stuff up, and it's really, really exciting to see the literature filling in some blanks, and it's starting to gain popularity. Another headline from Men's Health: sniff out superior stamina with this nasal breathing technique. For me, the most interesting thing about this headline is the word stamina, right? So it's talking here about nasal breathing and building stamina, right? Stamina is endurance. We breathe every single day, yet we just don't really forget. We don't really think about it, right? So we almost forget that it's happening autonomically. And so it's interesting, and you're going to learn really quickly around why this is so important, and why I'm probably so passionate about sharing it. Who's this guy? You might have seen him. That's the man, Mr. Wim Hoff. He's popularized a lot of breathing in the modern world through his crazy world records. You might have seen him going up Everest in barefoot, injecting things into his body and being able to deal with crazy biophysical conditions. How I describe the breathing practice world at the moment is that there's two forms. There's extroverted breathing and introverted breathing. Now, the extroverted breathing is hyperventilatory, really fast, lots of different cadences of big breathings, and they can put us in different altered body states, and that's the same as Wim Hoff, holotropic, things like that. There might be some words that you've heard. This course is not going to cover anything to do with that, okay? Those breathing practices are for specific skills and techniques for doing other things. This is really focused on practical, simple tools that you can integrate into your running so that you can breathe and move far more freer within your bodies. And so this practice is what I describe as like introverted, simple, practical tools that you can apply today and tomorrow. You don't need to have this big experience or do this whole fast Wim breathing to get into a state to then go do something, okay? Because if we're running a half marathon, a marathon, an ultra marathon, or even going a park run, it's a high probability we're not going to stop halfway through our run and start doing a Wim Hof breath to get us to the finish line. So thought I'd just cover that off. This guy is Shandor Remete, also known as Sundarnath. And he trained under one of the famous yogis. His name was BKS Iyengar. And Shandor is a yoga practitioner that I've learnt under. And I was very fortunate enough that when I was early in my yoga days, going along to different studios, it was actually just at like a big public gym. I was exposed to his teachings through another teacher that had taught under him, and I was like, wow, what is this? I can really feel this in my body. This is like shifting stuff, and my world was crazy at the time, and I've continued to learn and understand more about what I thought at the time was just some practical, bendy, moving body things to support myself to be strong. Turns out it goes way further than that. So that's someone that I've learned from in my time. Who's this guy? This is Octavio Salvado. He is an amazing yoga teacher as well. He comes from a long lineage of Hatha yogis, And I've recently just completed a 200-hour yoga teacher training with him in Bali. And again, mind, body, breath, really utilizing systematic, simple frameworks to enable everyday people to almost do superhuman things. And these tools are learnable, teachable by everyone. And so we need to be able to share these and start practicing these so that we can improve our own health, our own well-being, our mental health, our physical health, and just do more of the things that we love. This guy is the legendary Patrick McKeown, the founder of Oxygen Advantage. I've also done a Oxygen Advantage training whereby a lot of the modules and techniques in this course are from that practice, which is fundamental. And what Patrick's really given the world is this beautiful marriage between science and practical techniques that have been practiced often for centuries, yet haven't had the scientific backing. And so the way Patrick communicates that is phenomenal. He has an extensive background in over 20 years of breath coaching, and learning from some of the legends like Konstantin Buteyko. So this is sort of where my experiences come from to start delivering this, and through that I want to share those tools that have helped me run more freer, more easily in my body throughout my time. And this is the campfire. So welcome to the campfire. Why breath training for runners? Great question. Sha Carrie Richardson. She is the current 100-meter sprinting female world champion, and she's done that in a time of 10.57 seconds, which is flying so fast. Like, I was doing some downhill sprints for training the other month, and this was on a downhill section, like, I don't know, 14-15% grade, and my time was nowhere near that. I was at like 16 or 18 seconds per 100 meter. When I looked at my data, I was like, man, these people are doing this on the flat. It's phenomenal. And it turns out what's unique about Sha, and I'll show you a video soon, is she's completely doing this whilst nasal breathing, which is absolutely phenomenal. And you can see in her body and her form, she's just so calm, so centered, and just so powerful. So it's really exciting to start seeing elite athletes utilizing these techniques to get that competitive edge. Emil Zatopek. He is a Czech athlete who in 1952 at the Helsinki Olympics won the 5 kilometer, 10 kilometer and marathon distances in a single Olympics. And there's some quotes around, like when you look it up, he's like, oh yeah, I just decided to enter the marathon because I'd already done the others. Go figure, right? Now, Emil is often regarded as the forefather of interval training in sports physiology, but there's actually research that shows that he was practicing breath holding as a technique to elevate his athletic ability in these disciplines. So really cool to see that pioneers way back in the day. He's still the only person to ever win gold at a single Olympics in the 5K, in the 10K and the marathon, which is insane because people practice and train so specifically these days. Back then they just didn't. Ihor Verys. He has just won the 2024 Barkley Marathon, entirely nasal breathing. Now, if you don't know the Barkley Marathon, that is this crazy race in America where every year the course changes, and at different stages throughout the race you get given a course map with different directions that you have to navigate through to get back via a set of checkpoints to still be in the race. Now this is an ultra distance event, so it's 160 kilometers or 100 miles, and so it's very competitive, but the duration is 20 to 24 hours, up and down hills, massive vertical, massive distance. You've got hydration, nutrition, you've got to keep your mind sharp, you've got to be really focused and able to control your motion and your entire body for the duration of pretty much that 24-hour period. Now, here's the most recent winner, and his big saving grace that he's really proud of was that he was a nasal breather. And so I'm not here saying nasal breathe is the only way. I'm just sharing my experience and other people that are starting to find out that, wow, you can create some massive performance gains in the mind, in the lungs, in the body, so that you can really become unstoppable and really just move super freely in your body, doing what you want when you want, because that's really success, right? Cristiano Ronaldo, he has his own sleep and breath coach. He's also paid 200 million euros per year, which is insane. Again though, right, someone at the top of his game, one of the world's best football players over time, he's getting paid 200 million euros a year, and he has his own personal sleep coach. The tools in this course will teach you what he is being taught, right? You don't need to be paid 200 million euros to do what Cristiano Ronaldo does. To maintain his elite level in his sport. Obviously, he's got a lot of talent at football, but still, right, he sees the value in training his breath so that he can be at peak performance in what he does. This is really interesting. Exercise-induced asthma affects 11 to 50% of athletes globally. So it's almost 1 in 2 or 1 in 10 people that do exercise, right? They have exercise-induced asthma. Now, what is asthma? Asthma is essentially a constriction of the airways or an inflammation of the airways. Throughout this course, I'll teach you breathing techniques that reduce inflammation, that enable your moisture content in your breathing to be lower so that you're not triggering things like this, right? And this is a massive stat, which I think is a cascade of challenges, whether it's our environmental conditions that we live in, whether it's big polluted cities, things like that, but also how we're breathing massively contributes to our resilience to things like this if we've always worked with this throughout our lives. Injury, right? This is a big one in runners, and 80% of runners give up through knee pain or back problems. From my experience, and now after practicing and training for over 10 years in the works of body and the breath, I've now come to understand that looking inside the body and understanding the biomechanics can actually show us so much about what's going in there, and how that if we are unaware of some of these tools or some of the biological and biophysical processes, it's sort of no wonder that this is the experience for a lot of people. And some really simple tools, like we're going to experience in this course, can actually solve those problems, which is super cool. So I'm very excited about that. So we've got our campfire, we've covered these people. This is Sha, look at that, winning a gold. This is Emil, back in the day, I could only find a black and white photo of him. That's Ihor, Barkley Marathon runner, and Cristiano Ronaldo. Oh look, he knows what's up. So this here is in a video of Sha Carrie taking off at the 100-meter sprint. And you can see here, this video points out that she's actually fallen behind, and she comes home to win this semi-final. But look at that stability, the stableness of her head. She's not stressed, and she's literally flying. It's insane. And so she is calmly with her mouth closed, flying down that track faster than most of us could ever dream of. So just an amazing athletic example of really what's possible. Amongst all of this, what's my story? Results with breathing and running. So, I actually gave up running 10 years ago due to injury. I grew up playing football, running, had a natural movement philosophy where I usually just trained press-ups, sit-ups, and went for runs. And throughout my lifetime, whether it was riding motorbikes, I'd fallen off, I'd busted my knee, my body was just breaking down. And so 10 years ago, I gave up running as I thought that it was an impact sport that was bad for my body. And with that, I just essentially stopped all impact sports, and running was on the chopping block. So I stopped it and literally hung up the shoes, gave it up, and I didn't run for probably 8 years, which is kind of insane when I think about it. But it was at a time in my life where I transitioned from team sports into more individual sports like snowboarding and surfing and things like that. And so I just didn't really have a need for it. Yet there was obviously this unconscious thing in my body where I stopped it because I thought that running was bad. I would say I now have a different view on that. And that is when I took up yoga. So to stay strong whilst I was doing a winter snowboard seasons in Canada, in Austria, I took up yoga to maintain my muscular strength and keep my body strong, because I thought it was sort of a system and a thing that kept your physical body well, which it does, but that's not the whole story. That's probably a discussion for our Yoga for Runners module, which I'm really keen to hear your feedback on within this community as we progress. And that was where I made that transition within my story. I then retaught myself to run 2 to 3 years ago, started experimenting from the ground up. So I moved to Melbourne, and just before that I'd started experimenting with light barefoot running around my local hometown, and then started off just building it up and experimenting. And at the time I hadn't timed myself because I was just running for fun. And then one day I put on my Vivo barefoot shoes and I ran around the track, and I was like, whoa, I was actually going pretty fast. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. I wasn't expecting that, because obviously 10 years later now it's all Nike Super Boosts and Vaporflies and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, I've done this very minimalistically, and like my time's pretty good here, and I felt pretty good. So that just started a like new sort of thought process within me as to where to from here. And with that, I started running ultras. Had only ever run 21 kilometers before that once, and that was, I don't know, 10 or maybe even 11 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. And so I'd only ever run a half marathon before that, and I was in Melbourne. I was running with the Run South Yarra running crew. Shout out, they're an awesome crew. They run around the Botanic Gardens every Saturday morning, 6 a.m, 1, 2 or 3 laps. And I met a crew of people, and we're really excited about running, and everyone's like, yeah, we'll go for a trail run. So we went for a couple of trail runs, and then a few others were like, oh, we're going to enter an ultra run. I was like, oh, that's a bit scary. How far is that? Like, oh, 50 Ks. I was like, oh, okay, might be able to do that, maybe. It was about 3 months away, and I said, yeah, all right. And I love getting out in nature. I was living in the city at the time. I loved going to the Dandenongs to train. And what happened is I kept training and going for trail runs, and then everyone just dropped off. So it just ended up being me training for this 50-kilometer ultra, which had 2,500 meters vertical. And it was a journey of learning how to do this, figure it out, how it works. But what was fascinating was I'd observed that I could run in barefoot shoes and I could do this whilst nasal breathing. And it had been the 10 years of yoga prior that I was like, wow, why am I less puffed next to these people that I'm training with? Why am I way more calm? Why is my moisture intake less? All of these things. And that's when I started really having to scratch under the surface and find out what was going on, which has probably been the last 2 years to where we are now. So one of my most proud moments since then is that it was actually in a training run. We did a 55k ultra training run for another event, and it had about 4,000 meters vert. And at the end of that, so we ran up and down and up and down, up and down this essentially 1,000 meter ascent 4 times with the loop track back. And my heart rate was an average of 138 beats per minute. And I did that in sub 8 hours, which was pretty solid. And so for me, that was a real pinnacle moment of this stuff works. And not that I believe in comparison, but the person that I was running next to was also a really good runner and had done a lot of training as well. Their heart rate was much higher, and just doing some simple calculations, even if your beats per minute is 5 to 10 more than the other person, they're breathing in that 8 hour race or just social run 10, 20, 30% more than you. And so in terms of breathing volume, that's massive. And it's all about efficiency, right? And the more efficient we can be with our breath, with our body, with our mind, the easier it is to move through life. And so doing this work and training the breath with the body in the context of running is just super, super powerful. And then here we are, a couple of years later, and I've started to teach others after people get curious. They see me doing what I'm doing, and then they're like, yo, what's going on, and how do I do this? And then I keep having lots of conversations. I'm like, okay, I've had 10 conversations about this. Why don't I just give you all the tools, and then you can go and do it yourself and experiment and be curious and keep showing up and hopefully do it easier and hopefully achieve things that are just way bigger than yourselves. So that's where we're at today.
Nasal breathing reduces total ventilation required by over 20%. Not only that, but it reduces water consumption or required water intake by over 30%. We're talking big efficiencies here. I just completed another barefoot lap around the tan, nasal breathing the whole way on this beautiful wet morning in Melbourne. Kia ora.
That video was filmed about 3 years ago in Melbourne. It's one of my first ones on my Instagram, which you can find if you scroll all the way to the bottom. The message is still the same. The stats are still the same. I've run many kilometers since, and it stacks up. So here we are.
80% of runners give up through knee problems, back problems, and neck problems. I was no different. I gave up 6 years ago after realizing that the impact was just too significant on my knees. Since then, last 3 years, I've been wearing barefoot shoes and have been really focusing on strengthening up my feet. And today was the 4th barefoot run that I've done since getting back into running. And the core things that I was focusing on today were lightness on my feet, maintaining my chest forward, and using my hamstrings to lift my heels. Turns out, my feet, they're okay. And it was a good little jog around the tan here in Melbourne.
So again, if you haven't figured it out already, I get a little bit obsessed about some things and try and understand the mechanics behind them, how they work, strip them back, and then try and communicate that. So as we progress here within the Skeletal Freedom community, I'm really excited to keep evolving this practice and keep sharing with you some things that I've learned, so that you can level up your running. This here is a video of a track session with me, barefoot shoes, nasal breathing. In essence, I've experimented a lot with this breathing, and there's a lot of information out there about where are the limits in it. I've personally tried it on massive hill push tests, track sessions, run full interval trainings, fully nasal breathing. I'm an open book, so if you've ever got any questions about this stuff around the data or the heart rate monitoring, please ask. Always happy to share. And this is the first ever video that I had someone film me of running, and I didn't even know they'd filmed it. So it was amazing to see my technique, and then really, looking forward to sharing more of this. Here's some data from that big run that I was talking about, with the average heart rate down here of 138 beats per minute. We'd climb up this massive ascent here, 5k gravel road, fly down here the other side, and then it was about 5k back around the base to the car. We'd have a little aid station, and then we'd go all the way back up again and do it again 4 times. And as you can see, it peak. But the average heart rate here, it spiked here at 163 beats per minute right at the end, which is fascinating. So none of the ascents it got over that. And then the average throughout that duration was 138 BPM. So very, very interesting data set, and feel free to pause the video and dive into it further. If you've got any questions about this stuff, always happy to share. Now,
but I think the realization I had is when I was at there's a Femi run group on Friday morning, and we had a friend who's just staying for the week come along, and she's not a regular sort of runner, and was like, here we are. And I was like, here we are, this is amazing. But I realized in myself as I'm running along, just like, it's all good. Like, I'll just talk at you and you just like do your thing. I was like, that was me. And so just realizing that I was someone who was very open to running with people, but I was very clear, I shan't be having a conversation with you because I need to focus on my breathing. And now I was like running along, being like chatting away. And I suppose that's a combination of things, but also understanding the impact of your breathing and how to then still regulate and converse, and then kind of like, go through that dance to be able to like, go around the park, not necessarily be like, and they're like,
So that's one of the examples of when people learn these tools, whether it's a park run or sports team, events or multi-sport events, just the simple act of like learning some really simple breath tools can make that run far more enjoyable with friends, and you can understand where you're at and some simple tools to support that, so you don't end up super puffed at park run on the weekends. Why does this all matter? Athletes train in order to improve sports performance, and while regular aerobic training improves cardiovascular and skeletal muscle function, it does not improve the functioning of the breathing muscles. So the core thing, right, for everyone to have more enjoyment in the things that they do, we need to improve our performance in some way, right? Now, what these studies have found is that whilst regular aerobic training improves cardiovascular, right, so that's heart, strength, and skeleton, bone, muscle function, right, so the bits that we're moving, it has been found that it doesn't improve the functioning of the breathing muscles. What we're going to explore in this course is what are the breathing muscles, where are they, how do they work, how you can harness their power so that you can go full power and actually train easier, train smarter, and not harder to do the things that we love in the sports that we love, right? Evidence suggests the diaphragm is the most important breathing muscle. By reducing the effort of inhalation, the blood flow to the legs increases by up to 7%. By up to 7%, right? That's insane. If you're looking to improve a business, if you're looking to get a return on your money, right? Getting a 7% return is amazing. What this is saying is that if we look to train that most important muscle that's often very overlooked, you could just unlock a 7% gain, right? You'd increase the blood flow to your legs by 7%. And as you know, the blood, super important for supplying all of the muscular tissue to then metabolize, to then generate and use energy in those cells. So these are just some insights that start to paint a picture as to why this breathing's so important for running and why the breath really matters. Some other fun facts. The diaphragm is fused to your heart sac, the pericardium. We'll take a look at this in a minute in a visual, but essentially your diaphragm, your core breathing muscle, is directly fused, joined to the heart sac, right? So if we've got a floppy diaphragm, there's a high probability we're going to have a floppy heart. And what do you think that does to your heart rate? And how do you think that makes you feel? Okay? So this is a very fundamental insight. Your diaphragm is also fused to your central nervous system. Our nervous system is responsible for things like our fight or flight response and our rest and digest systems. Now again, where that diaphragm is fused to the pericardium, our heart sac pokes the central nervous system's core receptor, and it informs the body whether it's in fight or flight, I've got to run from a tiger, or whether it's in rest and digest, this is calm, this is restoring my body, right? And so if we understand that we can manipulate or control that interchange in a calm way, we have the ability to control our nervous system whilst we are running. Our diaphragm is also connected to our lumbar spine. 80% of runners give up through lower back pain and knee problems. Lower back is our lumbar spine. Our bottom vertebrae are our lumbar spine. That diaphragm is fused and connected right at the top of that lumbar spine. So every time this diaphragm moves, it directly impacts that lumbar spine. If the diaphragm's lazy, we probably have a lazy lumbar spine, and if we're running and breathing and those things are all out of time, all out of control, then there's a high probability as a runner we will increase our chance of experiencing lower back pain throughout our enjoyment. Our diaphragm controls gas exchange, right? It is essentially the diaphragm, like its name says, that controls the push and the pull of those lungs which sit within our body. Gas exchange controls aerobic and anaerobic metabolism. Some big words in there, but the core thing to think about is aerobic and anaerobic metabolism. For those of you that are beginning or new to exercise science, the difference between aerobic and anaerobic means aerobic is exercise with oxygen, anaerobic is exercise without oxygen. So when we are at rest or just going about our day, our body is essentially at aerobic capacity and it's easily able to unlock energy in our cells. When we start running and things get really hard, or we do a big push session, or we get puffed chasing the kids, or doing, running down the line at some social Saturday sport, that's when the body has to shift into anaerobic, without oxygen metabolism, which then has flow-on effects into things like lactic acid, our recovery, our risk of injury. And so if our diaphragm and our breath control or breathability is compromised, which we'll be able to understand where our breathing levels are at within this course and how to improve it, we can actually change our experience of our exercise through understanding how that gas exchange controls our metabolism. In essence, a stronger diaphragm equals stronger lungs, a stronger lower back, stronger nervous system, stronger metabolism, and stronger heart. Really simple. It's a little bit of a no-brainer. It took me 10 years to come to understand this after doing it experientially, and this work doesn't have to take 10 years. It can be improved within a week, it can be significantly improved within a month, and it can change your life within 3 months. So that's why we're here today. This here is the video explaining that fusion between the pericardium, which is around the outside of this. This is actually just stripped back to the heart, and the diaphragm, which is this beautiful hood, right? That as it's exhaling now, and then inhaling, it contracts down. Exhaling, it's forcing the air out. And as you can see here, just as this video is finished, this whole hood shaped muscle, it's huge, it's massive. And see these two like legs almost, and these massive vertebrae here? This is the lumbar spine that I was talking about. And as these like butterfly wings, right, almost move up and down, you can see that it can really impact the response of that skeletal structure and the heart at the same time. And often these internal parts of our body, we can't see what's going on, right, other than our felt experience. And so I'm super grateful for visualizations like this, and there's an amazing Instagram channel called SciPro which has heaps of them, and they just blow my mind. So it's like, whoa, I can see inside. And when I really understood that connection, diaphragm, heart, lower back, lumbar spine, I was like, wow, more people need to know about this. Who is breathing for runners for? Beginners who want to get the fundamentals right. I have bolded the words fundamentals because wherever we are at our running journey and in life, I always have a beginner's mindset, like I can learn more. And if you're watching this right now, I'm so stoked for you if you're a beginner, because that means that you are getting like the leading edge science to support you on your running journey from now on and into forever ever. Because this stuff, once you experience it, you can't unexperience it. And if you get these fundamentals right, I know that your experience of running will just be far more enjoyable from now and forever. Parents just getting back into running after a few years off, life happens, we get caught up in, all of the things going on. Now the kids might have got a little bit older, now they're off at school, you want to get some fitness back in. Again, fundamentals. I learned unconsciously to run as a kid, but then when I got back into it, I was like, whoa, what's this? How does this work? In here, breathing for runners will teach you those fundamentals as well, so that when you come back to it and reignite some of those passions or getting back into a sports team, you can do it far safer, with less risk of injury and far more enjoyment. Because when we're also a parent, we have far less time as well, often too. So I'm always conscious of how can I maximize my reward within my limited training time, because time is finite. And so these skills and tools can really help us maximize what limited training time we do have in busy schedules. Young professionals working towards their next half marathon or ultra, no brainer, smart cookies. I've once been a young professional myself, and I think it's a really positive thing and a really positive culture that's going on at the moment, where people are setting challenges for themselves that are beyond themselves. And when we do that, if we set that goal, we set that milestone, then we've got to figure out how to do it. That's where the magic happens. And if you've just recently set a challenge or a target for yourself, and you're trying to understand the breathing, the running, the technique, the training modules, all of that stuff, look, this is the 101 on breathing, and I'm really excited of what you're going to achieve through understanding this work. Athletes who want to optimize their breath, body, and mind, again, beginner's mindset. And what's been really interesting to me, and from my understanding, is I've just always assumed that because you're an athlete or you're really good at something, you're always the best. But time and time again, I always have conversations with different people, and you're like, wow, that person doesn't know about this or that, or I've incorporated this, but you've achieved what, and you haven't done that. And this is just one example of another tool that you can add to your tool belt, or set of tools, so that your experience can be stronger, it can help you go further, it can help you go faster, with whatever that is that you consider yourself to be striving for. I also heard this beautiful definition of what is an athlete the other month that changed my world a little bit. And we often, I think, put athletes up on pedestals, but really it just discussed an athlete as anyone that consistently shows up towards something that's like bigger than themselves. So an athlete's just actually someone that like sets a little challenge and then just consistently works towards that goal. And I think that's a beautiful description of who an athlete really is, and that more of us are athletes than we think we are, which is beautiful. Weekend warriors wanting to enjoy their activities. Look, again, limited training time. You might be puffed at half time. There's simple, fundamental tools in here that can really just help you recover faster, not have a achy body on Sunday that's all locked up, or be pinging other muscles because all of the lower back's compressed and lazy because the diaphragm's not engaged, all these sorts of things. So I'm really, really hoping that within this course, there's something for everyone, no matter what level of running you're at, no matter what level of aspirations you have, and you can just integrate these simple fundamental tools. Course curriculum, let's take a look. So in week 1, I am going to teach you the groundwork, the fundamentals, get your nose unblocked, understand how to breathe light, how to breathe slow, how to breathe deep, so that you're using the maximum capacity of those lungs, how to recover faster, and just really get you started on the right path so that you can start showing up to park runs, you can start continuing in your training for your half marathons, ultras, with just the fundamentals. Because if we don't get the fundamentals right, nothing else matters. And just in mastering these, if this is all you ever did and all you ever took from this course, like, you are 99% ahead of most people in this world, which is super exciting. In week 1, the fundamentals, we'll have the welcome, which is this video, my results, why breathing for runners, who's this for, and how to get support. Currently, we're working through that. Blood, that should actually be body oxygen level test, the BOLT score exercise. So in the body oxygen level test, we will introduce a simple test that everyone can do. It's best done at the start of every day, and you can understand where your breathing efficiency level is at currently, and you can use that as a tool to measure where you need to get to or how you want to improve, and track your results as you go throughout this course in breathing for running. Diaphragmatic breathing. Know your diaphragm and how to breathe deep exercise. Again, we've been talking about the diaphragm, we've had some insights already tonight. This here is really about understanding what that feels like in our body, where to locate it, how to use it, and how to harness that power. Breath awareness, how to breathe light and slow exercise. So once we understand to use the full capacity of our lungs, we've then got to look at the rhythm and the speed of our breathing, and then the intensity. So many people breathe really fast and heavy and shallow in our bodies, and we're not really maximizing our lungs capacity, right? So real fundamentals to just unlock a huge part of our breathing efficiency. Breath and posture benefits, posture check exercise, and maintaining good posture exercise. Fundamental when we're running, when we're in the workplace, when we're going about our day, ensuring and understanding within our body how it feels if our breathing's engaged and our breathing's strong. Just the real simple difference for how that supports the rest of our structure to be in our everyday and then while we're out running. Breathing mistakes. I'll cover common breathing mistakes in runners and unpack some of those myths within that mix. Using smart devices, how to measure HRV and SpO2. Most people these days have a smartwatch. I actually haven't trained with a smartwatch until 6 months ago. The goal is actually not to need these devices, ironically, and just be so in our bodies that we can understand exactly where our heart rate's at, understand when the stress is coming on, and then just utilize these tools autonomically to support us to go further and faster with less effort. But I started getting a little bit nerdy. Someone described me now going full RoboCop on running to understand what actually is going on underneath and under the hood, if you get the diaphragm reference there. But through that, these are tools that we have, and we live in an amazing time with all of this technology out there, and so we may as well understand what these terms mean, how they work, how we can do tests for ourselves and understand that data. HRV stands for heart rate variability, and SpO2 stands for specific oxygen level, which we'll run through in that module. Nose clearing, clear airways exercise for daily practice. This is a really fundamental tool for people that just struggle to breathe just normally day to day. It's super powerful for starting your day before any exercise, just getting the full system cleared out so that you're really just ready for the day. Because if our breathing's limited, our brain power is limited, our movement power is limited, it just really holds everything up, right? And there's nothing worse than a stuffy nose. Turns out we can clear our nose. We don't need to take any drugs or pills or anything like that. Really simple superpowers that we can harness within the nose to clear it every day and breathe freely. And I'm going to throw in a bonus on heat regulation, moisture loss, and dead space in the lungs. And so this is a module from our ultra training module, which is week 5. And in that, I'll just cover some amazing benefits that proper breathing really supports our bodies with in ways that we just can't even imagine. So really excited to share that with you. And if you're either running ultras or you're working your way up, the information in there is suitable for all of the disciplines of running that you might be interested in, as it provides a lot of context about the importance of how functional breathing really supports functional movement. Course curriculum, so going broader, we've got the week 1 fundamentals. So there is a ton of insight in there, a ton of learnings, a ton of exercises, a ton of practical tools that you can start today, tomorrow, and get out there and start embodying to really be able to, change your breath, change your life. And I cannot wait to see you experimenting with all of this. Moving forward, the second module, week 2, this is designed for 0 to 10K distances. All of this curriculum is progressive. So even if you are running ultras, even if you are running marathons, I'll really, really, really encourage you to do the work and build through these modules, because within them, I build up through different specific activities or exercises that stack on different distances. So even if you are running ultras or marathons or half marathons, you'll still be doing 0 to 10K length runs. The tools in here will support insight into that, and they will build on top of each other throughout the practice as well. In week 1, we're obviously measuring our BOLT score. In the week 2 curriculum, there's a full module there where you'll understand how to level up your BOLT score depending on where you're at and what your aspirations are. There's customized programs in there for you to do that and do the work to level that up. And that's really exciting. Week 3, shift gear, move up, half marathon. There's tempo runs. What else we got in there? There's tempos, intervals, warm-up, cool-downs. There's some really useful topics in there, and you can check out the full curriculum that's in the Breathing for Runners module in the community to see the full details of these. Week 4, marathon. Again, we're starting to push the level. We're talking about racing and pacing strategies, how we can integrate our breath into that. Week 5, going ultra. We've got some really interesting topics and tools there that you can use for recovery from massive runs, nighttime running breathing techniques, and just the next level of advanced breath for people that are really pushing to start to really utilize. So I'm super excited to share that with everyone as well. And the way this works is essentially lock down the fundamentals, and then I'll be introducing the Skeletal Freedom Pro community, which will be paid, which will support you with far more insight to be able to level up and to really get you going. So my recommendation to you is just absolutely inhale that week 1 stuff, get those fundamentals super dialed, and if you feel that there's still value there and you still want to continue learning, look, this is the pathway, this is how it works. It's tried and tested and proven to level people up in their breath. So really excited. The goal and the rewards. Remember, we're having fun here and we're going to work towards that together. The goal. My personal goal is to help millions of people around the world move and breathe freely in their bodies. I believe this is the foundational to a happy and healthy population. That is the world I want to live in and the people I want to run with. These tools are so life-changing, not only in the application of running, but for everyone that experiences our energy around us. By sharing these, by practicing these, by working with these, and working with amazing people like yourself that are willing to do the work, just lights me up. And so with that, the vision is that I want to see massive amounts of runners and athletes globally breathing effortlessly and being able to do it forever. Seeing people who have changed their lives by moving and breathing freely, meaning you, that's very exciting. There's a little bit of grit and work harder and toughen up mentality going around, and I just don't believe that it's actually required. I'm all for working smarter, not harder. I'm all for being almost the laziest runner on the planet so that I can do way more with way less. That's what I want to shortcut in my life, so I don't have to grit and grind and tough it out. And I think it's just a really old mentality. So this is where, working with these tools, we can really change the game and change how each of us experience our running and our lives. To do so, I need your help. I want you in on this vision. We need an open mindset. Everyone can learn these practical tools, change millions of people's lives with this information, but I can't do it alone. I need your help. Please, if you find value in this course, share this course with someone else who has either been in a similar situation with you or is struggling with similar things in their running with you. Unstoppable. The main goal here is to make you a runner who is unstoppable. Run when you want, where you want, for as long as you want, with a smile on your face. That means training with a reduced risk of lower back pain, able to hit zone 2 training effortlessly, and improve your mental and physical health whilst doing so. We live in a time where mental health is just through the roof. It's in the news all the time. The stats are crazy, and there's all these people out there running. Now, I surveyed a lot of runners, and I understood that the two main benefits that they receive from their running is mental health or physical health benefits. And by going even further and really working with our bodies, our breath, and our mind, we can truly become unstoppable for whatever challenge we want to conquer, whether it's in our running or with our sports team, or just actually being able to show up and run around and chase the kids. These tools, I believe, can help people become unstoppable. It's possible. Consume the information, but most importantly, do the work and take action. Nothing happens without action. Join the Q&A calls, be eager to learn, experiment, share your wins, and as Britney Spears says, work, bitch. Right? You want the Lamborghini, you want the hot body, you better get to work, bitch. So consume this information. It's free. There is so much information in that first week, it's crazy. Those fundamentals, do the work, learn them, take action, do the breathing exercises on the calls, don't do them at 2 times speed, and just really enjoy it, because you won't forget these tools and you won't ever run the same once you know how to breathe properly whilst you're running. The rewards, we're going to make this fun within the community. Wins, share your wins inside the Skeletal Freedom community to inspire others. Get the chance to win Skeletal Freedom Pro free for 1 year and personal Skeletal Freedom coaching calls with me to take your breath and movement training to the next level. So in the community, you'll find a hashtag wins channel. Post those wins, post the experiments, add a little video, add a screenshot of your Strava, circling your heart rate, whatever it might be. Big smile up on top of a massive hill climb that you've just done. Share those wins, as it's super inspiring, and you will get the chance to win Skeletal Freedom Pro free for 1 year and personal coaching calls with me. How to enter: screenshot a video of your runs and experiments, show other people your heart rate data, share how your energy feels throughout training, share how your recovery feels with other people or paid members. Rewards: there's 1 winner per month who will be added to the Hall of Fame. This gets you 1 year free access to Skeletal Freedom Pro. I'll also be personally coaching you on a one-on-one call and map out a plan to take your breathing and movement to the next level. Important things to remember. You don't know what you don't know. How much is that costing you? Seek constant improvement to make your running easier, not harder. We're on this planet for a long time. I think for the last 2 years, I don't know, I must have run over 2,000 kilometers, so an average of maybe 10 kilometers an hour. Is that 200? It's 200 hours. That's 5 working weeks. That's a tenth of an entire year. Again, with that sacred time that we carve out for this, I want to do that in the easiest way possible, the biggest smile possible. And yeah, by working harder, it can actually cost us less time, cost us less energy, cost us less effort, reduce our risk of injury, reduce our risk of not achieving those goals through things like that. So yeah, I always stay curious and I'm always seeking to learn more. It's all up to you. You're responsible for your results. I will give you everything, but you must act on it. These trainings are all laid out systematically. All the tools are there to master your breath whilst running. It's really just up to you. It's simple, but not easy. You must embrace the resistance. Remember that a plane takes off against the wind. Some of these exercises will be challenging to start with. It'll be difficult to change your technique or to slow down to speed up, right? All of these things are practical and simple tools, but not easy. You're going to have to do the work. And so I know if you're already on this call, you're interested in doing the work. And so I'm sure you're going to show up and take off against the wind. Doing the work, consistency is key, and nothing happens without actions. Just learning will not make you a better runner. However, if you love reading, love learning, learn it all. Go back through, learn it again, take a notebook, then start doing some experiments. Doing the work and consistency, as you know, is super important. Inspire others. Share your wins with other people inside the community. Inspiration changes lives. It's a no-brainer. I'm here to be a part of this community and I'm here to serve you. And I want to see the wins that you have. I personally love checking out that channel, going through it and seeing what game-changing experiences people are having, what levels their running is really hitting based off integrating and incorporating these tools. Quality posts. Make sure to only post quality, well-written posts inside the community. Low quality gets deleted. Goes without saying, I'm here to hang out with motivated people who love to do the work, that want to level up. And so let's keep it super positive, let's keep it super inspiring, and let's just keep it real quality within the community. Beyond running. Where does this go beyond running? Fundamentals. Couch to 5 kilometer, just getting back into it, or a seasoned ultra runner. As I mentioned earlier, if you're on this call and you're just learning to do a couch to 5K, or you're just getting back into it off some time off, learning these fundamentals first and then going again, or then starting, super amazing for your running, for your enjoyment, for your experience of the enjoyment of running, for the joy of running, right? Workplace. How we breathe impacts how we work. These tools, yes, very specific for running, yet the exercises are going to have benefits for your brain, for your heart, right? Beyond just running, right? When we master our breath, we master our mind, and in being able to do that, it can really change our experience in our everyday, which is also in the workplace. Starting your day. How we start the day determines our day. With the right breathing tools, we can essentially start the day on an amazing foot, and that can put the rest of our day less stressful, less anxious, and more enjoyable. Mental health. Clear mind, right? Clear breath, clear mind helps us move freely through that world. Physical health, when we understand those inner mechanics of how our breathing really works, how our body actually works, how everything supports itself to move more efficiently, that inner strength is massive. Life tools, training your breath is one of the biggest gifts you can give your life. I can't understate it even more. It's one of the biggest learnings in my life and one of the biggest gifts that I look forward to sharing. How to get help and support. There is the Skeletal Freedom course and community. There is basic community support in Skeletal Freedom with the likes of the Breathing for Runners program. And then in the Skeletal Freedom Pro community, that's where the real running hits the road. Far more intensive, far more calls, far more in depth in terms of the support that you have so that you can continue to breathe and move and experiment with your running to really become unstoppable. In the community, you can get help and inspiration inside of the community at school.com/skeletal freedom. Community rules, I'm just going to reinforce these because it's just so important to making this success and making it a place that people want to come, a place that people want to share. Okay, so no promotions or brand promotions allowed. Don't advertise products or services, not in public or in DMs. Even indirect ways are forbidden. This will get you permanently banned without warning. We deeply value this community. Oops, I got a typo there. This is full-time monitored by me at the moment and only create quality, well-written posts. Post your wins, share your success with others. This is a community for winners. Inspire others with your wins and work hard to get yourself on the Hall of Fame list and win 1 year free access to Skeletal Freedom Pro. Help others. Do you know the answer to a question? Answer it. You'll be rewarded handsomely. That also goes for the old adage of there's no stupid question, right? Because if you've got that question, it's sure as anything, someone else has that question too. Q&A calls every week for 30 minutes. Within the Skeletal Freedom community, you can see there's a calendar tab. In that, there is a slot every week for a 30-minute Q&A calls where you can come with any questions you have about the fundamentals or anything about the course curriculum. We can unpack that and support so that you can get those fundamentals right and really level up your breathing whilst running. This is what it looks like. Little meerkats pop up. And you can see here there's a little calendar tab there, and it shows all the dates coming up. You can add it to your calendar across any of the platforms and join at the Google Meet link there for 30 minutes. I've made it in the middle of the day at the moment, so it should be beneficial for all time zones in Australia, America, and across the board. Mastery Hour every week in Skeletal Freedom Pro. We will dive deep on specific tools, specific support, specific structures, really unpack breathing exercises with you and really support you full throttle to train your breath whilst you're running, whilst you're breathing, whilst you're moving, whilst you're training for that next event. That's the place where the real grunt and the real pedal hits the metal. So very excited to be supporting you all in that community. Follow along on Instagram. It's the happening platform for, like I said, my epiphanies and the latest content that's coming out, latest insights. There's a ton of bite-sized information in there. Feel free to go back through the highlights reels as well. There's a list of amazing posts from the last 6 months that really just communicate all sorts of progressions, all sorts of tests. There's a ton of tools, ton of tricks, ton of tips in there across the spectrum for running and ultra running as well. YouTube, become an unstoppable runner. Get along on there, subscribe, check out the content, check out the videos. It's going to be the place where I continue to release content and exclusive insights into running, movement, breathing, moving forward. And you'll find those both at Skeletal Freedom. In summary, understand the power of the breath, right? So This beautiful thing that we have is our life force, is our ability to do more of the things we love, and it also restricts our ability to do more of the things we love. Let's harness the power of the breath. Take massive action. This is your opportunity to train smarter, not harder. Just like the pros, you breathe 20,000 times per day if you're an average breather. Make every single one of those breaths count. This course will help you lower the number of breaths that you take per day so you're more efficient, more effective, and you will make every single one of those breaths count within your body. Experiment, question everything, and stay curious. Don't be shy. Run your own experiments. Take the tools, try them on, post some wins, get some feedback, ask some questions on Q&A calls. Curiosity is key. If you're finding value from this course, from the fundamentals throughout the mix, feel free to go to testimonial.to/skeletal freedom and leave a small 5-question, 2-minute video testimonial, as we're on this mission to help millions of people and runners move and breathe freely in their bodies, and to do so, it's always inspiring to see others taking massive action towards moving and breathing freely, to becoming unstoppable with their running. Leave a testimonial, and there are special prizes for those as well. To end on a quote tonight, I think this is very suitable for where you're about to go in this program. In essence, the definition of sustainability is defined by asking yourself the question, can I go on doing this forever? I heard this from the legendary Bill Reed, who's a guru in the world of sustainability, and he posed this question to us at a lecture, and it really struck me. And since retraining myself to run, this is the thing that I aspire to do in all of my movement and all of my living nowadays, is ask myself the question, can I go on doing this forever? I want to be running when I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when I'm 70, maybe when I'm 80, maybe when I'm 90, who knows? But if I do something unsustainable now, I sure as anything know that it's going to hurt me later down the track, or I'm going to have to work twice as hard later down the path to be where I could be, unless I was doing the work now. So I want to go on doing this forever. I want to be unstoppable in doing so, and I look forward to seeing you on that journey too. I'm fired up. I hope you're ready to go and get training the breath, and let's start breathing with our running super functionally, super fun and enjoyable. I look forward to seeing you in the community, look forward to seeing those wins. We'll see you soon.